And they are oddly quiet or protective when it comes to the Diddy case. Referring, of course, to Sean Combs, known once as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. I don't know what year you grew up in. He changes his name very often. But he is facing new sex trafficking allegations in a lawsuit that was filed by a former porn star. Now, I want to recap this because I was hot on this case before I got taken off air. And sometimes I wonder, the media just sort of totally flipped on me until they wanted to turn me into a bad guy, if it's partially due to me having covered this case in a way that most mainstream media members refuse to. So let's quickly recap. We had last year Cassie Ventura, who dated Diddy for over 10 years, come forward with allegations that he had committed rape when he got mad at her, battery, that he had forced her into sex acts with male sex workers.
Sweet Jesus.
But she also alleged that he was a gangster, that he had once bombed the car of fellow rapper Kid Cudi when he got mad because Kid Cudi and Cassie were dating when her and Diddy were on a break. So he did this in an effort to intimidate him. Now, to be clear, Kid Cudi came out and told the New York Times in a statement that that allegation was true. Cassie also alleged that Diddy had once dangled a friend over a 17th floor balcony, another intimidation tactic, and that he had asked her to carry his gun in her purse. So yeah, she's saying, I dated this man. He is a thug. He is a gangster. And immediately Diddy came out and completely denied this. He tried to kind of get this filed under Me Too. Oh, I would never do.
And like I said, if you want to go ahead and engage with me or the chat, just send in $1 and up super chat. Any question, comments, or even jokes, man. Appreciate the support.
Do this. Well, an update, I was off air when this happened. I know that you guys have probably seen the video. I'm not going to show it because it's so horrific, but a video of Diddy absolutely pummeling Cassie.
Now, she may not want to show it, but me, I don't care. Let's go.
Elizabeth Wagmeister has that exclusive report.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video.
Man.
There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and
punched her.
And punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which according to the lawsuit prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel.
Bro couldn't even wait. He said, I gotta grab her ass.
While yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her.
Jeez.
In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground. As Ventura lies on the ground, Combs then kicks her twice and attempts to drag her on the floor back to the hotel room.
I mean, picked up the luggage, picked up the Louis bag, and picked up the girl by her hair is crazy. That's crazy work right here.
Ventura is seen picking up a hotel phone. Combs seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns and appears to shove her in a corner. Moments later, he can be seen throwing an object in her direction. According to Ventura's now settled lawsuit, the pair began dating several years after they met in 2005.
So, if you was wondering what video Candace was talking about, that was the video she was referencing.
Came out. You could just watch Diddy in the video beating her to a pulp. It looks like they're in some sort of a hotel. And obviously, he's got to be king to have the audacity to drag her by her hair down a hallway and to beat her in the manner that he did.
Bro, and he threw that vase at her in the hotel lobby. I mean, well, not in the lobby, but like pretty much in the hallway still. Like, they didn't even get in the elevator. They're still out and about where anybody can just walk out their room and see them.
And then for the video to have no audio, he paid them.
He paid them.
Knowing essentially that there would be no punishment, that he could do this and then years later deny it, as he did when she came out in her lawsuit against him. So, of course, there was no denying it once this clip made its way around the internet. People were outraged, as they should have been. And Diddy then offered an apology. Take a quick listen.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was stuck. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
I mean, you already did it.
I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Sure.
Man, and shout out Forever Changed My Mind, man. Thanks for putting this content out, man. No problem at all, bro. Trust me, we're going to go through the complete line of the whole Diddy situation. Let's go. Appreciate you for the support, man. Forever Changed. Let me make sure I get the full name.
I went
Forever
and I
Changed
sought
My
out
Mind.
professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace.
And shout out Malachi 82, man, with the $5. He's not gangster. He's a mob boss whom pays to get his results. Be careful with rich people and anyone whom pays goons. They are simp scumbags. And yes, he is, bro. Because, man, hey, that's one thing that just threw me off. I'm like, bro, you're beating women? Well, all right, bro. You want to do this stuff to men, that's fair game. But women is where, women and children, where I draw the line here. I'm like, all right, bro. You're doing too much.
I'm so sorry.
He's so sorry. Don't you believe him? I got to be honest, I'm struggling to believe him because, yeah, he at first denied all of her allegations publicly. He then quietly settled the case without coming forward and saying that anything that she had said was true. But then once the video became public, of course, he's a different man. Now he does remember beating her to a pulp, and he does remember then going to rehab, allegedly, for having beat her to a pulp. And now he is just so disgusted with himself. Again, is there a buyer out there? Because I am not one of them. But that's not all. Don't forget, last year, the case that I was following was when a producer filed a very, I would just say, it was addled with a lot of evidence and a lot of proof as to his allegations. That producer's name was Rodney Jones. He goes by Lil Rod. And yes, he was one of Diddy's producers. He stepped forward and dropped really what can only be described as the mother of all bombs in the form of a lawsuit, not just against Diddy, but also against Universal Music Group. And why I'm describing this as the mother of all bombs is because he included pictorial evidence of what painted the picture of a homosexual blackmail ring. Okay, so using sex, collecting blackmail on certain individuals in the industry so that you can therefore control him. Now, there were a lot of stunning pieces of evidence in.
And shout out Brianni Moore for the $1 super chat, man. That was your first super chat on stream, sis. I appreciate that honor.
That case filing, but I will tell you that for me, the heaviest allegation that I thought, if I'm just reading this, this seems very valid, came in the form of pictures from a scene in which Little Rob describes Diddy having allegedly, along with one of his sons, potentially shooting someone. The producer says that he was in the bathroom right when it happened, next to the shooting, but he was terrified as he was in the bathroom. And when he came out after Diddy had shot someone, he was tasked with cleaning it. He, again, produced a picture where you can see blood all around. You can see paper trying to clean up the blood. And you just go, okay, all these paper towels, all this blood, what then happened? Well, he says that everybody that works for Diddy is instructed that if they ever get themselves in this sort of a situation, there's a cleanup guy that you're supposed to call. He names that man as Fahim Muhammad.
Here he comes
Fahim
again.
Muhammad will then get the correct LAPD officer over to the scene to produce a fake police report. Very strong allegations, right? And you might go, oh, wow, well, maybe this producer's telling the truth, maybe he's not. Well, what he then shows is that despite the fact that someone in those pictures, at least if those pictures are to be believed, was shot inside of a recording studio, The LAPD police officer took down a report of a drive-by shooting. And then subsequently the next day, the media, or in the coming days, reported a drive-by shooting. But of course, he's saying that's not what happened at all. They know that's not what happened at all. But clearly, this ring has a lot of power. They've got police officers on their payroll. And by the way, in the event that you believe that that's an implausibility in LA, then please do what I have been begging you all to do and read that book, Chaos, because it is exactly that.
Now, for those of you who don't know, if you have a YouTube Premium account, which honestly, according to my analytics, most of y'all do, you can go ahead and download Chaos on YouTube and go ahead and read out the whole book, all 8 hours. And it is a banger book. I mean, it's really good. Now, so can it say it was a good book? Hey, it's a really good book and it's really insightful. I recommend you get the book as well.
Describes a network of police officers, prosecutors, and of course, media members who are on the inside of these sorts of things. It describes very much a ring.
And it's Chaos by Thomas O'Neill.
That took place when the Charles Manson, quote unquote, murders happened back in the 60s. So we're just bringing this forward in the form of the Diddy case, the same exact allegations. And most shocking of all was that man, Fahim Muhammad, which I showed on my show, was also one of two people that was there when Michael Jackson died. Yes, one of two people that was there. Somehow that guy was very young when Michael Jackson died, but got this job as the top security person for MJ. And now he is working as a top security person for Diddy. It, again, as I brought up, leads people to revisit those questions and the things that Michael Jackson was saying towards the ends of his life when he was also describing a ring of people in Hollywood. Essentially a gang that is running Hollywood and a gang that he said was pursuing him, a gang that it is believed lied and convinced the public that.
And let's all be real, man. For lack of better words, it's a Jewish mafia. Let's just be real. It's a Jewish mafia. It's damn near the Jewish mafia that we all know they control, well, Hollywood and the music industry. So let's be real. There's a reason why Michael Jackson had all of their names down. And they were all of a certain religion and ethnicity. Come on now. Now, I'm not saying it's all of them, but just in this select area, in this industry, it's them right there. And what up, Power Stroke Syndicate? Appreciate you for pulling up.
That he was a pedophile, despite the fact that he was found not guilty of those allegations. Essentially, because he was going after them, they began going after him, if you believe that. Now, again, I find it very strange that this character, Fahim Muhammad, would have contacts, allegedly, with the LAPD, and the media just doesn't seem interested in that whatsoever, despite, again, an overwhelming amount of evidence being supplied in the form of pictures. What the producer describes, by the way, is that Diddy was the person who was supposed to have these parties to invite young artists to drug them without them knowing that they were being drugged. They think they're drinking, there's drugs, and then he would get them to commit sex acts. Now, whether that was against women or whether that was against men, once he would be recording them having done these sex acts, he would then forever control them. Again, a blackmail ring that sounds exactly carbon copy to what Jeffrey Epstein was doing to politicians, right? Great way to get control. Now you can run DC, you can run Hollywood, because we got you one night doing this on camera, and now I own you. Now, stepping aside from the producer's allegations, there were other people who had publicly alleged that this is what was going on in Hollywood, Cat Williams being one of them. Take a listen to what he said to Shannon Sharp on his podcast. And this
Diddy, TD Jakes, the pastor that be partying with Diddy, yeah, he next. TD Jakes, we on your ass, G. We on your.
So Cat Williams said it. The lawsuit started coming out right after he said it, and he said all would be exposed. And I should make it clear that in this lawsuit, the reason why Universal Music Group is being sued by Lil Rod is because he alleges that it's them that is sitting at the top of this ring. So essentially, Diddy is working for somebody else, and that person that he named in his lawsuit was Lucien Grange. He heavily implied, and this is again an allegation, that Lucien Grange was having some sort of a homosexual relationship with Diddy. So he is the person that controls Diddy, that Lucien Grange was aware of these parties, that Universal Music Group was aware of these parties, essentially that Diddy is the thug and the gangster working on behalf of Lucien Grange. That is the takeaway that you get when you read this law.
And let's be real, wouldn't that just work out oh so great for Lucien Grange if you got Diddy as the right-hand man or the bottom boy, and he just goes out and manipulates the entire music industry for him. Just get all these proof and all that good stuff, so whenever he wants something, he can just pull on those strings.
Lawsuit. So how odd that rather than the media being unbelievably interested, as I was, completely seized by this lawsuit, as I was, rather than them asking questions about Fahim, asking questions about Lucian Grange, who's got a very interesting past, changed his name. I don't tend to trust men that change their last names, least of all 3 times, as his family has done. Rather than any of that, they started attacking me for reading the lawsuit, for putting together the clips. How dare you say that there's some sort of a ring? How dare you say, despite the fact that Diddy still has not been arrested. In fact, the LA County is declining to press charges. Despite having the video evidence of him beating Cassie, they are not pressing any charges. How dare I allege that it's pretty obvious that he's an asset? He's clearly a federal asset. That's the only way you can do these sorts of things in broad daylight. You can blow up cars, beat women, and all you have to do is do a video that says, I'm really sorry. He's clearly being protected by somebody who has more power than him and likely has access to the government. How dare Candace Owens say that? You can't say, Lucian Grange is Jewish, by the way. You definitely can't ever allege that a Jewish person was ever in a gang, even though Jewish gangs were running Hollywood and Las Vegas and New York for a while, but we've closed that chapter and now you can't say any of it.
Yeah,
you can't
it's
talk about any of
wild.
those people.
Oh God, like learn some of your history and learn who was at the inception of this. I always say in the book Hollywood Undead, like bro pretty much said the start of Hollywood just showed up with a bunch of group of Jews who are wealthy, just pulled up. And it's been, well, debaucherous ever since. That's not blaming the Jews, but well, this is what they produce. This is these are the seeds that they laid down, and this is Hollywood today. Man, you reap what you sow at the end of the day. So I wonder what they was, reaping.
Am I living in a crazy planet? I mean, seriously, what is happening right now that you see people in the media that are somehow trying to sweep this under a rug as if it's all a conspiracy theory, as if all of the evidence, people that are speaking out, Diddy's own apology alleging some of the actions, what are all these people, just liars? They're all liars. This can't possibly be happening. And as I said, in the first time I covered this, what's interesting about this lawsuit is it alleges that Diddy was smart enough to understand that he needed to record the people that he was working for. So that unbeknownst to them, while Diddy was recording other people, he also was recording them. Little Rod alleges that when Lucian and Diddy used to disappear into Diddy's bedroom, that Lucian did not know that Diddy had cameras installed in his bedroom. So it's likely that Diddy has got blackmail on the blackmailers.
I mean, I can only imagine people calling in, some record executive calling in on Diddy and be like, bro, you ain't produced no hits, you ain't produced no good artists or anything, but somehow you still rich, bro. We about to drop you. Oh, you are. All right, well, let me go ahead and send you this video real quick. Send him the video. Dude called Diddy back like, you know what? Never mind, bro. We got more funding for you. We got you, G. We're right behind you. Just like that guy was right behind him.
Well, it's plausible, I should say, that Diddy, if all of this pans out to be true, has blackmail on the blackmailers. And perhaps that is the reason why they are slow to prosecute him. Now, again, I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. But why is the media not doing the exact same thing? Instead, what they're doing is their favorite course of action. They're calling everything a conspiracy theory. Just like Piers Morgan did when he rushed to yell at me about talking about Diddy being a Fed asset, even though he admits he didn't even read the lawsuit. Take a listen.
Again, you're being disingenuous because actually you're stating it as fact.
No, what I'm telling people
in the same way
is,
you say, I state my entire reputation of Brigitte Macron's a man, you also stated this fact, nothing from a lawsuit. You just said he's not in jail, you tweeted, because he's a Fed CIA asset. Kanye tried to tell everybody.
Have you read the lawsuit? Because it seems like you haven't, obviously.
But that's your statement.
No. Did you read the lawsuit? That's the first thing, because we can skip the hyperbole. Did you read the lawsuit?
I'm asking you.
Okay, then we're not going to talk about this topic. So no, he didn't read the lawsuit, but he wants to make sure that I'm not saying that he is a federal asset. And he's not the only one. This has kind of been the perspective. Everyone's a conspiracy theorist that reads the lawsuit. Ben Shapiro also had some similar commentary. Take a listen.
Now, bottom line is that the feds obviously are going to fully investigate this. Now, you're seeing a lot of conspiracy theories out there today, and it's always the same people who it is odd how, if you believe one conspiracy theory, you tend to believe literally all the conspiracy theories. That is the way this tends to work. And all the conspiracy theories tend to center around unnamed, unspecified people who are manipulating the system. And it can't just be that there are evil people who are participating in many evil things at any given time around the world. They all are in cahoots with each other, and there is some grand master scheme, and that all this is a way of shutting Diddy up before he can speak about his paymasters. Okay, well, when the evidence of that emerges, then let me know. Alternatively, P. Diddy is an incredibly rich, incredibly famous celebrity who's been able to sexually gallivant as he pleases for literally 30 years, and then he got caught doing it in criminal ways, which seems pretty plausible to me. I don't see why you need a conspiracy theory to exactly explain that one. But for folks who are conspiratorially minded, the answer is always the same. There's a conspiracy that explains everything. That is, frankly, a very peculiar way to live. That there's always a monster in the closet lurking behind the real monster. Maybe Diddy is just the monster. Maybe it's just that.
Nah, it would make sense that Ben Shapiro's trying to leave it at that. Nah, it just stops at Diddy. Oh, okay, well, we want to forget about Lucian Grange. We want to forget about the all-powerful Jewish CEO of Universal Studios who own, I'm be real with you, there's a lot of companies. There's a lot of these rappers' labels who are connected to Universal Studios and Warner Brothers and Epic in them.
You don't always need a conspiracy to explain everything, folks. In fact, you very rarely do.
So I think I've talked about this in the past, and I just wholeheartedly disagree with everything that he just said there, because it's not a conspiracy when we are actually reading the lawsuit and looking at all the evidence. And the person did, in fact, name names. He named Lucian Grange as being the person that sat at the top of the ring and said that he was present when Lucian Grange would come over and go to Diddy's room. So I'm just not clear on the definition of conspiracy. But what I do know is that the history of using that term conspiracy theorist was something that was cooked up by the CIA as an effort to dispel rumors regarding JFK's death. So they recognize that if you keep calling people a conspiracy theorist and you keep saying it's a conspiracy, that people may shy away from the topic. I don't suffer from that. I want to know what's going on, as should every single person in this country, because there should be no individual in the entire world that can beat a woman on camera and not face any charges.
I mean, for real though, because now look, I do believe in the law and all that, but the stature of that, I'm like, come on, bro. 10 years ago, oh, we can't charge him on it. I'm like, nah, come on, bro. Just lock his ass up. He did it. It's right there in our face. We just couldn't find the motherfucker. Like, now that we know, send his ass to jail.
That is just an utter insanity.
Excuse my language on that one.
Begs the question as to what is actually going on in Hollywood. And I think the answer is that Hollywood has been being run by a gang with a very long arm, an arm that reaches all the way into the government for a very long time. And so I'm urging people to wake up to these facts and not to be dissuaded because, Piers Morgan says, I'm not going to read the lawsuit, but neither should you. Maybe it's time for us all to start believing our own eyes and believing our own ears and listening to the many people in Hollywood who have tried to speak out about a ring, who have tried to speak out about a gang that is controlling the actions of everyone. Maybe let's stop calling those people who are suffering at the hands of those individuals conspiracy theorists. Maybe they're just victims. That's all I'm going to say about that topic. Speaking of victimhood.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's go.
Is absolutely crazy. Full stop. What if I told you guys that it is about to get even crazier, that there is directly a link to Michael Jackson's death?
Wait.
I want to be clear that when everything was going on with Michael Jackson, the lawsuits, his death, I thought that we were in...
Not that one. And let's see, was it the bombshell? Did he do it? And there we go.
To when the media turned on me, it really...
Now let's get into this one because this
it really was when I covered this lawsuit. I think that was the first time that all of these attacks were coming out of nowhere. Can't just making wild accusations. I'm like, I actually just read the Diddy lawsuit. And today it's a crazy update because the guy who brought forth that lawsuit, a producer named Rodney Jones, also known as Lil Rod, and he also brought that lawsuit not just against Diddy, but Universal Music Group and others. He credibly accused them of sexual assault, grooming, even a shooting cover-up. Well, guess what? After months spent in hiding, Rodney Jones is speaking out, and we have the explosive update for you. And speaking of those who are willing to take a stand, RFK Jr. issued a profound statement against Big Pharma, and we have got to run that for you. I should have run it much earlier. Do you guys think that he would have been a better pick for VP? I'm not saying I think that. I'm asking you, what do you think? And lastly, I'm sure you guys saw this, but Mark Zuckerberg did something strange. He really came out guns a-blazing against the Biden administration, saying that he was pressured by them to censor Facebook. Oh, so interesting. I wonder why they wanted him to censor Facebook. Because they were lying. So why has he decided to speak out now, and is it going to make a difference? We're going to talk about that. All that coming up on Candace.
Now let's get into it, guys. Don't worry. You ain't gonna have to sit through that.
Did he do it? That is the question, and I'm going to give you guys my opinion on this. So obviously we have to recap the lawsuit, because I want to be the Nancy Grace of a Diddy lawsuit, because I'm just obsessed with it because no one else is covering it. That makes me even more interested. Of all the things the media go after, all the individuals they go after, wall-to-wall coverage. If you have an excerpt of something that I've said out of context, she's unhinged. No one will touch this lawsuit. What does that mean? That means that real power is involved in this lawsuit. That is the meaning of it. And of course, we know that real power has a stranglehold over Hollywood. So to briefly recap, I'm just going to give you the three most explosive.
And if you don't know, come on now, we all know. Shout out Uncle Ruckus.
Explosive things that came out of this lawsuit. The first thing was that Diddy regularly drugs and records artists, just to be clear, allegedly. This is a lawsuit I am reading against him. And that these up-and-coming artists in the industry are caught on camera, on Diddy Cam, if you will, doing things they probably would not want to happen.
I mean, on Diddy Cam is hilarious. Like, haha, caught you with your pants down on Diddy Cam.
Exposed to the public, but of course they're high, they're drunk, and effectively the implication here is that those recordings could eventually be used as blackmail. I'm going to read you direct from the lawsuit. Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and shrooms, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms, Mr. Combs providing laced alcoholic beverages to minors and sex workers at his homes, plural, in California, New York, and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Florida. Mr. Combs' chief of staff, named Christina Coram, referred to as KK, instructing her staff to retrieve drugs so that she...
And I ain't gonna lie, once again, the best way to explain this is through Uncle Ruckus's sayings of, like... Because I'm just like, God damn, what's going on here?
She can provide it to Mr. Combs for his consumption. Christian Combs, that's Diddy's son, drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image regarding the Cassie Ventura lawsuit. Young Miami's cousin, that's another rapper and or assistant, sexually assaulting Rodney Jones. Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. sexually harassing and also assaulting Mr. Jones. A rapper whose name was redacted on Mr. Combs' yacht, consorting with underage girls, sex workers, yada, yada. You get this, again, naming the fact, saying, rather, that there are underage girls and sex workers involved throughout all of this. And I'm just like, wow, did we just arrest Pavel Durov a couple of days ago? It's just amazing because he created a platform. They're like, well, bad things could be happening on this platform. But then when you have this lawsuit, and I want to be very clear of why I'm saying this is a credible lawsuit, because he supplied endless videos, photos, screenshots to prove that what he was saying was true. Okay, so this isn't like some random person filing a lawsuit. You know, I was like the loudest voice against Me Too. I even had to step out of myself and defend Matt Lauer, who was very much on the opposite side of the political aisle from me, because I thought that what happened to him was completely unfair. I mean, somebody made an allegation. He lost his entire life. It turned out he was having a years-long affair with the girl. I am not here for like baseless accusations. But this was not baseless. Any person who read through this document, and you should take the time to read through this document, realizes what on earth is going on in Hollywood. That's the first question that you'll ask yourself. And then you will start to recognize that the media is complicit in covering this up. And then you'll start to ask yourself, why is that? Second biggest thing that came out of this lawsuit, the most explosive claim, was that he himself, Rodney Jones, witnessed a shooting and that the LAPD and the media colluded to help Diddy cover it up. Now, if you're a person who watches this show, you're going, Candace, I read Chaos and I know exactly what this is about. Yup. Yeah, this has been going on for decades. We understand it was very heavily implied and I believe verified in the Chaos book after that reporter worked for decades to file FOI.
Now, not to go ahead and, ruin the plot of the Chaos book, but the main point was that, well, the CIA was using Charles Manson to elicit drugs onto these teens to get them to do crazy things. And if you remember her, the whole MK Ultra program, it was trying to make people like, I guess, from normal people to psycho serial killer.
And the FBI were involved in the Manson murders, that he was actually a person that was under the auspices of the federal government, Charles Manson. And then the media lied about what happened that day. And if you read that book, Hollywood Babylon, you start to realize, okay, yeah, no, this has been a thing for a long time. Having police officers that actually are agents for the federal government. So that gets interesting when he starts saying that, yeah, no, they definitely covered up a shooting. And I'll read you how he described it, just to go back to the lawsuit. He wrote, one evening during this camp, this was taking place at a recording studio, Mr. Combs, Justin Combs, that is Diddy's son, and G, that is the unnamed person that was allegedly shot, were in a heated conversation. That conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom adjacent to where Mr. Jones was sitting. Mr. Jones was approximately 2 feet away from the bathroom when gunshots rang out, and Mr. Jones recalls hearing multiple gunshots. He immediately went into a state of shock and fear that he would be shot next. He genuinely believed that he would be shot through the door due to how close he was. After the shooting ended, a crowd gathered around the restroom. When the door finally opened, Mr. Combs and Justin Combs exited. G was lying on the restroom floor in a fetal position, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg and hip area. Everyone stood around looking upon G, frustrated by the lack of aid that was being supplied to G. Mr. Jones dropped everything, ran to G, and immediately began placing pressure on G's gunshot wound to his stomach. As he was applying pressure on his stomach, Mr. Jones realized that G was gushing blood from another area near his leg and his hip. He decided to lift G and placed him to sit on the toilet. Mr. Jones asked the crowd to call the ambulance. Mr. Jones lifted G and brought him to the ambulance at the studio's front. Now, if you're wondering how on earth could they have pulled this off, how could a shooting have happened at a recording studio and we are not aware of it in the public, that's a pretty big thing. Well, the public, and he's alleging this, lied. The media lied and said that it was a drive-by shooting that took place and essentially made it so that no one would worry about what he is alleging was Diddy and his son involved in a shooting.
And we pretty much heard this before. Now, I think she's pretty much, cycled it back over? Yeah, she did. Let's go back to the next one here. Because, this is where it gets crazy. So, and there's going to be some lessons here because, I ain't going to lie, there's some crazy things going on. Poor Beaver.
All right, so here's my conspiracy theory. Another one. I think porn websites have been purposefully created as tools of entrapment. I think they are creating an entire log of who everybody is. In the event that somebody becomes powerful in their life, then they have all of these porn websites that you visited. I truly think this, especially people who think their data is safe and they're constantly online. You can see how these websites like Pornhub are encouraging people to look at more frequent and also more disturbing types of porn. Essentially, they exist to pervert your tastes. And then I think people become more and more perverted. They hit weird links. And then in the background, you have people that are collecting that data so that if you ever make it in life, they can go, oh, but we caught you looking at this kind of porn. Now we control you. No matter what you think, I think we can all acknowledge.
Man, you become an important person. They hit you with the look, bro. We seen you watching this. Like, what you mean? I just scroll past it. Nah. We got deeper reports, dog. We know how long you watched it. We seen that you liked it and you commented under it. You freaky bastard.
Now that pornography is a weapon of mass spiritual and political control. I don't care. Everyone got mad at me when I said months ago, ban porn. That's what I believe. It should be banned. And I believe that because I've looked into the history of it. Here's the reality. You can quite literally become a slave to your sin. A man has as many masters as he has vices. By the way, I wish I could take credit for that expression, but that actually came from St. Augustine in his book, City of God. He wrote, quote, "A good man, though a slave, is free, but a wicked man, though a king, is a slave, for he serves as many masters as he has vices." Think about that. If you have a vice and you think you're in control of that vice, you're really not. That vice is actually in control of you. And that is mentioned, St. Augustine's words is mentioned in this book that I'm holding. I think it's required reading for all men. It really looks into the history of pornography in our society.
Really?
That's a book by Catholic author Dr. E. Michael Jones, and it's entitled Libido Dominandi, Sexual Liberation and Political Control. As I said, he traces how we arrived at this incredibly pornographic society that we live in today. I mean, do you even recognize everything is softcore porn? If you're on Instagram, if you're watching.
Let's be real, guys, and let's be real. The shows we used to watch in the day did not show no nudity. No nudity. Now, nudity is almost like common in shows. Think about it. The Game of Thrones era, as soon as we cross over that, I say what was it? The CW era with Vampire Diaries. And the rest of them, things start getting a little bit graphic all of a sudden. Like, bro, I'm talking about we used to just cut through the sex scenes to where they was in bed and we just knew what it was. Now we need the full graphic description and all that good stuff, and then them to act it all out in our face. Yeah, there's a difference going on. There's definitely a difference.
A woman and she's selling a Gucci bag. For whatever reason, she has to be naked. Have you ever asked yourself why? Why must she be naked in order to sell me this Gucci bag? Why must she have her boobs out in order to tell me to buy this perfume? And then if you explore your own mentality and you are one of the people that's going, oh my gosh, Candace, how could you say this about pornography? If you have that instant reaction, let me ask you this question. Who taught you that watching porn was a sign of freedom? Who taught you that nudity and pornography were expressions of freedom? Thinking about women and feminism, and they've got their boobs out when they're protesting. Who taught them that that was an expression of freedom? Really pause and think. When I paused and I thought about that, I went.
Yeah, who did tell y'all women that, you need to show more skin, wear shirts that, expose you, or something wild like that. Like the stuff that I see women wear these days even throw me back. I'm like, whoa. I thought we was tripping with the crop tops and Daisy Dukes. Y'all done found a way to outdo that. I mean, women going to the club damn near in see-through shirts and pants. I'm just like, what's going on now?
Back to my high school health class, and I remember quite literally learning, as in it was like an answer to a test, that watching a little bit of pornography was healthy. I'm not kidding. We learned this in school, that watching a little bit of pornography is healthy. I can't even imagine what the kids are learning today. It's a tool for education, as if that's supposed to be the natural way that men and women come together to have sex. Well, this book by E. Michael Jones offers the even darker history. And of course, it somehow brings us right back to the very perverted psychoanalytic community, the people who love Freud. Obviously, we're talking about sexualized children. If you're a person that believes Freud was a father of modern psychology, then you should ask a lot of questions about what modern psychology is and what its aims are. And I want to tell you guys this. You have not been liberated sexually. When you look around, you see everybody and they've got their boobs out, and girls that are selling their bodies on the internet. internet, and women that are convinced that they're models when in reality they are kind of just prostitutes selling their bodies to make money, and convinced that they're somehow more glamorous because they're doing it within the pages of Vogue. Yeah, all of those people have been intentionally enslaved by pornography. But the question is, to what end? Well, as I told you, I think powerful people are being blackmailed, and I think they're being...
I mean, to the end where people don't even care. Oh, let's be real. People are being so blindsided by the money that pornography can provide that they're willing to throw their kids' future away. Like, there's really, like, women with kids that will start doing pornography as if they don't got a kid that's currently going to school, as if they can't be pulled up at any moment. It's wild. Like, think about it. Maya Khalifa tried to get a regular job. Even she tried to get a regular job and she just said, I couldn't do it. People were looking at me weird. Like, well, no, I bet. I don't really know too much about what numbers she was doing, but apparently she was doing enough numbers to where she said, I can't even have a regular job no more. I done sacrificed all this opportunity just for this one moment in my life.
Blackmails all over the world. And I'm talking from royals to basketball and football players to singers to politicians to bankers, you name it, because pleasure is now the drug. Lust is the tool for domination, exactly what this book is about. And there has been no greater example of that recently than the Diddy case, which follows another explosive development yesterday. Now, let me tell you, it's been long suspected since it happened, since she died in, I would say, rather mysterious circumstances, that Diddy had something to do with the death of his ex-partner and the mother to his children, a woman named Kim Porter.
I said that.
Now, what happened was she mysteriously died of pneumonia at the age of 47.